but there is one thing I would like the Knicks to change in Game 6 because I think the Knicks kind of lucked out with the Heat not shooting well today from 3-point range, which I think is probably because on the road, road players don't normally shoot well on the road as opposed to at home. So seeing that they're gonna be going back to Miami, the one thing I would like to see the Knicks stop doing, which I think is the reason why Duncan Robinson was able to go off in the fourth quarter, because oftentimes I think Thibs had Brunson, Duncan Robinson. Oftentimes Brunson was going to double off of Duncan Robinson and then try to
Right.
recover on Duncan Robinson. I'm like, that's not the guy that you double off of and leave open like that. And I think going into Game 6, like I want to see the Knicks stick to like Robinson, Strus, and those guys. Like, do not
That's it.
help off of those guys. Like, stick to those guys so they don't go off on three because they're going to be playing in Miami the next game, and those guys are more than likely gonna not shoot bad from three like they did in this game. And I think that's the reason why Duncan Robinson was
Well,
able to go off in the fourth because a lot of times they were doubling off of Duncan Robinson, and Duncan Robinson was there just for catch and shoot.
yeah. Yo, here's the thing about that. Like, I understand this. Okay. Miami has not been shooting the three ball well in this series. All right. So more props to Tibbs because they were shooting lights out versus the Bucks. Versus the Knicks, they've been shooting 31%, which in our minds is high because you've been shooting worse.
Yeah, pretty much.
But in reality, they have not been shooting well and from three or really from the field, really, this series. The only one who's really been shooting well in the series, statistically, is Jimmy Butler. Everybody else, we've done all right. All right. The Bucks, they were scoring. They were scoring 125 points a game on the Bucks. Okay, and 4 or 5 people were averaging over 40% from three on the Heat squad. Not doing with us. So I agree with you partly, Ryan. We're gonna have to double off of to keep Jimmy from going off. We're going to have to double off one of them at some point. Maybe it's not consecutive plays to get him in the rhythm. Maybe that's the compromise. But Jimmy Butler, if we don't, I've heard people say, well, if we have to stop doubling Jimmy Butler altogether because if we stop doubling him, then everybody else won't beat us. The Bucks didn't even double Jimmy Butler, and they averaged 125 a game. So we have to still double him, but we have to do it more judiciously, like Lee said earlier. You know what I mean? And I'm glad we started to do that. But I agree with you. Maybe we left Duncan Robinson open a little bit too much this game. Yeah. Maybe switch off with somebody who's cold, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Somebody who's not hitting the three.
Exactly. But I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. But overall, I like that we adjusted. I liked even the box out. Shout out to hold on. Let me get into my RJ Barrett. Let me get into my RJ Barrett stuff. I am extremely proud of what RJ has done so far in this series. He's gotten a lot of hate, a lot of critique all season long. I critiqued him myself as well. But the biggest critique, the most damning critique that I've heard about RJ all season was, and see, now Lee's away from this. Here you go. Yeah, come back. This is your part, Lee.
Sorry, my cat threw up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All good.
But yeah. People already put a ceiling on RJ Barrett and said, okay, he's not going to get better than this. He's been the second best player in the playoffs.
Yeah.
For this team. Hopefully, this continues within the regular season next year and this becomes like who he is as a person. But to have this performance back-to-back playoffs, have this type of impact, so all of a sudden he's shooting well from the field. He's shooting better from the three in places. He's hitting clutch free throws because he hit clutch free throws today. Had a huge box out against Jimmy Butler where Butler threw him to the floor and we got the ball back from a foul. He is locked in and he's grown, and I'm hoping this is the real RJ Barrett. But this is why I'm hesitant to put ceilings on guys under 26 years old, especially guys under 26 who work like RJ does and like our guys do, because you just don't know what it's gonna click in your mind, and all of a sudden the trajectory might change. So kudos for RJ, had another really great game. And I heard an announcer say this today, but we've been losing against the Heat, but even though we were losing, he's had one bad game versus the Heat, and it's been kind of underrated how good he's been playing for us.
100% agree. It's sorry, Ryan. I'm just gonna say something real quick because I was the only one of us three that criticized him. Not criticized, but had a lower ceiling perception of what he could be, and it felt good to set the bar low so I could be shocked, and also feels good to be wrong, because he's a homegrown talent that in my years of fandom I haven't seen someone that we drafted as a high lottery pick develop into a star. Because KP wasn't here long enough and never played in the playoffs. So it's been really nice to see that. Happy to take the L, and I hope it continues.
Absolutely. I think we have to give RJ. This is my mind. I'm gonna give RJ room to grow. I give RJ room to grow, and I lower my expectations in Julius Randle. That's how I like. That's what I mean when me leaves arguing before about Julius Randle being the most clutch person and everything. I'm just like, he has to mentally get it right for me to put him in that situation, because he's going to frustrate you, but then at the same time, he'll have a second half like he did today, where he shoots threes, he's diming people up, he's getting the clutch. Like it's just so up and down with him mentally. But I put Julius in my proper box, where somebody had a good comparison to him. They call him like kind of the DeMar DeRozan. Like, he's really, really good player. Probably not going to be the best player of the team, not going to win you a championship, but he's a really good player. And as long as I keep him in that mind, where he's going to be a really good player, and that's what he is. And if Tibbs can keep doing what he did today, is, hey, this really good player is going off the rails, you're going to sit a little bit longer. As long as we do that, we should be fine.
I do want to add one thing, though.
What?
About the Bodman.
Go ahead.
RJ Barrett. This man had us fooled, because this man throughout the regular season played up and down. Then when the playoffs came, all of a sudden, he's playing like the player that we thought he could be. At this point, I think it's safe to say that RJ Barrett is a true veteran. Mm-hmm. He's like all the other veteran players in the NBA. They don't care much about the regular season. They just cruise through the regular season. But then when the playoffs come, that's where they show their true. That's where they show their true selves. That's where they show their true selves.
Julius Randle really reminds me of Chris Webber a lot. I made this comparison before. I think Webber was someone who was indicted for not giving a full effort on defense and kind of taking his time and conserving his energy for the offensive side of the ball. He's also someone who made a lot of mental mistakes at end of games. I'm not talking about college either. I'm talking about the pros with Sacramento specifically.
Right.
And someone who had a higher opinion of himself than what he actually was. Their games are very similar too. Both thrived when they caught the ball and made quick decisions. But when they caught it and held it and became a ball stopper, that's when they broke the continuity of a team and actually had more low efficiency shooting percentages from three, mid-range, and in the free throw line. So I think that's a good person that Randle should be studying what not to do, because as great as Webber was, and he's Hall of Fame, not sure if Randle will ever be there. There is a lot to learn from his game, both good and bad, for the type of number two option that Randle could be once we start adding more talent to his team, and if he's still there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison, man. That's a pretty comparison, because as we saw today, when he moved quicker, that's when things start to open up for us and everybody. He started hitting threes when it came. He started making plays. Kudos to RJ Barrett too, who's moving without the ball. When we ISO'd, like when he's locked in, and then the defense even picked up. I've seen him challenging threes, flying out more when he got into a rhythm offensively. So the coach has to keep him engaged. The coach has to sit him down when he's not playing well. And as long as we do that, bring Obi Toppin in here to sit him down and watch it, I think we should be fine. And I don't know, man. He keeps getting a beating. He has like a big old knot on his eye the whole day. Man, he caught a beating. So salute to Randle.